All right, Nick, let's talk about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I think all off season there's been a lot of recruiting battles, a lot of things going on, maybe left a little bit of a poor taste in Notre Dame fans' mouth. But I'm here to tell you, bring you the good news that there's a recent update on this recruit that potentially is going to make a lot of people very happy. I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, Notre Dame, a very tight recruiting battle with none other than five-star quarterback commit Duce Knight. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. It looks like he was leaving Notre Dame at one point, but we have some really great news and update on his status with the Fighting Irish. Let's get on into the article and we can talk more about it on the other side. This is from over on Slap the Sign. It says, this past weekend, at least one recruiting analyst believed that Knight would commit to the Auburn Tigers. That commitment was expected to be coming this weekend, but it never did. That despite the fact that still Notre Dame football commit had taken several visits to Auburn in the last month, but suddenly it looks like the Irish are back in the game. In fact, they may be considered the front runners again. It's a heck of a change of sentiment after months of analysts believing that Knight is all but gone. The belief that he was gone, of course, is despite the fact that for now, he's still very much a commit. Nick, I think this is huge news for Notre Dame fans. I think they got to be very excited that now they are potentially being considered the favorites once again to keep, I guess he's already committed, but to keep the commitment of Duce Knight. This is huge news for them going forward. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one, but before we get to you, Nick, Notre Dame fans, in the comment section below, big defensive performance against Miami of Ohio, only letting up 3 points. Big win for the team. Again, next week, tough game against number 15 Louisville. I'm curious, what are your thoughts? How is this going to end up for Notre Dame? In the comment section below, let us know your final score predictions on Notre Dame versus Louisville in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what are your thoughts about the recent change of heart from this Notre Dame commit?
Well, I think it's a really good sign because if you look at On3's averages, even though he's committed to Notre Dame technically, Duce Knight was trending with an incredibly high probability to commit to Auburn. And I think was up to a 92.4% chance of flipping to the Auburn Tigers. And the fact that it didn't come over the weekend, like the report alludes to, is a great sign for Notre Dame because there is a clear and obvious issue, and we're starting to see it now through the early games of the season. Quarterback is a very serious problem for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Obviously, the transfer of Hartman last year really helped a few things out for this Notre Dame team. Nothing against Riley Leonard. He's doing a great job running the football, 6 touchdowns, leading the team. That's fantastic. But his passing numbers, folks, they are very ugly. And look, you can blame it on the scheme. You can blame it on the receivers. This is a quarterback-driven, big-time college football. It's just like the NFL. If you're a top-flight experienced guy who's played a lot of football, I mean, talk about a guy like Riley Leonard. He played 3 years in the SEC. He should be able to put up some decent numbers. Through 4 games so far this season, his numbers, 1 passing touchdown, 2 interceptions. He's averaging 5.7 yards per attempt. That is ugly. His adjusted yards per attempt, that includes like it factors and scales touchdowns and interceptions, is down to about 5.02. He's only thrown for 587 yards so far this season. And look, I know he's a dual threat guy. I know he's a runner. I know he does a lot of things like that over the course of what he brings to this Notre Dame football team in terms of their offensive strategies and schemes. But here's the thing. You're not going to be a top 10 team. You're not going to be a top 5 team. You're not even going to be a playoff team. I'm going to be totally honest, unless you have a serious passing threat at the quarterback position, right? It's not 1988 anymore, right? Where you can run the wishbone offense and find a way with Trice back there going really old school and find Rice, excuse me, and find a way to win a national title, right? You got to have a passing quarterback. You got to have an elite passing quarterback. That's why everyone looks at Michigan, the way they beat USC, and said, hey, great win, but you're not a real contender, right? That's not sustainable to win throwing the ball for 30 yards in a single game. It just doesn't work in modern college football. We look at all the top programs. We look at Texas, great throwing the football, great quarterback play. Ohio State, great receivers, great quarterback play. Oregon, great quarterback play. You look at programs like Alabama, Georgia, great quarterback play. Miami's a top 10 team. Ole Miss, great quarterback play. Tennessee, right, with Nico, right? They're doing a lot of great things. Again, great quarterback play. You look at teams that are falling off a little bit, right? You look at UCLA, they've struggled at the quarterback position. Oklahoma, their quarterback position is a debacle. You look at Auburn, right? They really are looking for Duce Knight because their quarterback position is absolutely garbage, right? It's so obvious. You have to be great at quarterback if you're going to be a really good football team. And Notre Dame has struggled this year at that position in terms of a traditional passing quarterback. Gaining a guy like Knight, who I have no doubt could be that guy, would be absolutely massive, changing the trajectory of this program, getting them from being a top 15, top 10 program again, kind of fringe playoff team, to actually putting them in the national conversation. That's exactly what they need. And I think holding on to Duce Knight as a commit just a little longer definitely increases their chances. And I think it's a great sign for them, because if they can secure Knight, then I think their future gets a lot better.
Yeah, Nick. And if we look at the latest news, the latest updates, you know, he hasn't been to Notre Dame in quite a while. I think it's since the summer was the last time that Knight visited the Fighting Irish. But now it's saying that he is going to be there for the Stanford game. That's not one, that's not two, but that's 3 weeks. We got Louisville up next for Notre Dame. Then they play Stanford on October 12th. So I think this is big for Notre Dame. They're saying Auburn, he was going to commit this past week. Now, 3 weeks in the future, he's going to go on a visit with Notre Dame. I think there's a big opportunity for the Fighting Irish to go out here, put up some big performances, potentially win some games, and try to get Knight back in the fold. I think it's very doable for them. And I think, like you said, this is a guy who could be the future. This is the guy who's going to take a team that's pretty good, that's doing a lot of interesting things, but they don't have that top tier passer at the quarterback position, and really kind of cement them to get a guy who can be that top tier passer at the quarterback position. So I think this is a big opportunity for Notre Dame, and I'm glad the tides have kind of shifted, and now we're going to see what they can do in the next few weeks.